Hello everyone, we're going to create a Fragment tutorial for Android device. So you see what we'd like to achieve today. So once we have application running, Fragment 1 will be loaded. We can press button Fragment 2, so Fragment 2 will be loaded. And we can go back to Fragment number 1 by pressing the first button again. So what we need to do, we need to create 3 Java files. Fragment 1, Fragment 2, main activity, and we create also activity main XML, which has 2 buttons with a fragment, and we have 2 XML files as a fragment. So we'll start with empty project, hello world. So we need to delete hello world text view. So we need to bring 2 buttons from widget area. So just select widget, select button, drag and drop button 1, and drag and drop button 2. So the both buttons should take the whole layout width. So select button 1 and take match parent, and select button 2 and also select match parent. Also, it's a good idea to rename buttons. So the first button will have fragment number 1, and second button would have name fragment number 2. Okay, so for the rest we have to bring the fragment area in this case. So I would find here fragment in all elements. Let's just write here fragment, and fragment element should be delivered somewhere here. It doesn't matter which class, because we will use a standard fragment anyway. So we need to establish constraints for the layout by pressing the button Info Constraints. So let's check text area for fragment. So we have a known fragments because we did not attach any layout for the fragment. That's why we have this render error unknown fragments. So let's create a fragment 1. So how to create a fragment? Basically, we create a Java fragment with corresponding layout. So press right click on the package name, a new fragment blank. Let's name it fragment 1, and the corresponding layout name fragment 1, and we can include fragment factory method, and we exclude interface callbacks. Press finish. So we're expecting to have right now new file fragment 1, and we're expecting to have new layout. Layout has a name fragment 1 XML. So I suggest a little bit to clean this fragment 1. We don't need a lot of stuff from here. We don't need this private variables. Just make it a little bit simpler. We just need only one method. Which one is this? It's on create view method that actually inflate fragment 1 layout. Okay, so let's connect this fragment 1 layout to as default container for the fragment. So for this purpose we can go back to the fragment, and in fragment name supply the full name of the fragment 1. So we have to write com.example.voitenko fragment tutorial 1 with full package name. Okay, so that should be what we want. So we want this fragment to be display when application started. So can we try it right now? So let's execute the code right now and see if it works or not. Yeah, as you see, we have hello blank fragment initially here populated, so we achieved the first goal. Right now we want to replace this area when you press the button, right? So so first of all, let's make some changes here. So I want to attach the button, one method to both button. Will be the same. So let's go to the main XML. Press here and on click, write the name of the method, select frag, press enter. The same method will be applied to this area, select frag as well, and hit enter. And right now I want to implement those buttons, but before I would like to change I would like to create another layout, fragment layout, but only changing one small thing, the number. So I'll create another fragment, new fragment blank, fragment 2, fragment 2 here, include fragment factory method only, finish. So clean this fragment. So clean this area. So one more stuff we need to do, we need to change here the text. So if you see here on the fragment 1, we want to see here the text, probably fragment 1 with display number 2. So I will just make fragment 1 and ability the text appearance compatibility display 2. And I will do the same for the fragment 2, but obviously I will change this to 2. Fragment 2, and appearance will be also displayed 2. So we're done with this right now. So we need only one thing, implement the logic to switch the fragment. So we need to implement the method. So let's go here and create a stub for the method. So just for example, click here, select frag view in main activity. And basically this will be the place where we put the logic of fragment exchange. So first of all, we will start with creating fragment object. So I'm using Android support library in this example. So I'll be using fragment from the Android support Android support library, because I am using a pp-compat activity in this case. So I will create fragment object that I don't assign this reference to anything right now. I will do it later. And I analyze if view in the parameter to this method, if view in the parameter to this method is find view by id r dot id dot. So if it's a button 1, I believe this is the first button we have, right? So if you go here, I can check it. This is button 2. Yeah, so I'm correct. So if the first button is selected, FR will be initialized with a new fragment 1. Otherwise, that's understandable that it will be fragment 2. So these things will choose the appropriate fragment to pass to the object variable. The next, I have to do some work with a fragment manager. So fragment manager is a class that help you to manage fragment replacement. So I will start fragment manager, but get support fragment manager method. The next, I will initiate transaction. So should be a fragment transaction class. Fragment transaction class from support library. I will name it transaction, and you have to start transaction for the managers that I just declared. So you just manager dot begin transactions, begin transaction. And finally, we for the current transaction, we have to organize replace. So what we will be replacing for the ID for the current fragment, we will substitute the value of the fr, which is fragment object. And one small things we have to do, we have to commit changes. So we have to call transaction again and method commit semicolon. We need to select the background, select the color, hello bright, yeah, and we have to do the same for fragment 2. View properties, color for background. At this time it could be, for example, orange. So it'll be slightly different things, right? So fragment 1 will have a blue color, and the fragment 2 will have a orange color. And by default, we'll have a fragment 1. Let's execute and see what's happened. So we have hello blank fragment. Pressing button 2 will give you 2. Pressing button 1 will give you 1. I don't understand why I have fragment 1 wrong message. Just need to check. So fragment 1 I selected fragment 1 message, but yeah, apparently because I have this another text here, I have to delete this text because we have two text variable in this file. It should be here Android text, not tool text. Android text fragment 1. Okay, so let's run last time. We have fragment 1 and we can switch to fragment 2. So it was a short tutorial how to use fragments in simple Android application. Thanks a lot.